Hi, my name is Rick Andrews, HSEQ Manager for Tivoli Group Limited. I would like to welcome you to this training video on manual handling. At Tivoli, we take your safety very seriously, and we hope this training video will help you address some of the risks that you face on a day-to-day basis in relation to manual handling. Please listen to the content of the video as it may prevent you from being injured. Thanks for listening.
The purpose of this training course is to give you the necessary information in relation to the hazards associated with manual handling and how to best avoid manual handling injuries during the course of your duties. Manual handling injuries aren't just about the weights involved in a work task. A large proportion of injuries are caused by poor technique, posture, not assessing the load, not asking for assistance when it's required, or not applying the training that's been given. The term manual handling covers a wide variety of activities, including lifting, lowering, pushing, pulling, and carrying. If any of these tasks are not carried out appropriately, there is a risk of injury. Examples of manual handling may include loading a van with equipment, using machinery, for example a hedge cutter, pulling a sack of green waste to a vehicle, pushing a pedestrian mower up a ramp, carrying a load, or putting it down. Most of the reported accidents cause back injury, though hands, arms and feet are also vulnerable. Manual handling covers a third of all workplace injuries, around 39%. These include work-related musculoskeletal disorders such as pain and injuries to the arms, the legs, and repetitive strain injuries of various sorts. Broken down, this equates to 17% lower limb, 45% upper limb, and 38% back injuries. There are around 507,000 workers suffering from work-related musculoskeletal disorders in the UK, and around 159,000 new cases each year. Industry sectors like ours have the second largest rate other than the construction sector. The cost to UK businesses is estimated at £14.9 billion a year, with approximately 8.9 million working days lost every year due to musculoskeletal injuries and disorders. So here are some factors you must consider for any lifting activity. First of all, think about your individual capability. Are you fit and healthy? Physically capable? Do you have any existing medical conditions? Any existing musculoskeletal disorders? The nature of the load. Is it small but heavy, large but light, bulky, or is it difficult to hold? Does it have handles? Will the weight change when it's lifted, or is it heavier at one end? Environmental conditions. Where are you moving the load to? Are there stairs, changes in the ground conditions? Is there adequate lighting? Can you see where you're going? Work organisation. By this we mean what's happening to the load when you get it to its destination. Does it need to be lifted up? Does it need to be lowered down to ground level? Can you move the load closer to where it needs to be unloaded? So if you're taking a gritting machine to where the bags of grit are, that will help you reduce the carrying distance. Training. Have you been trained in manual handling? This is important because the training you received may help prevent you from being injured. It's important that you try to reduce the amount of twisting, stooping and reaching that you're doing. So if you're loading from ground level to a vehicle, repetitive movements like that can result in an injury. Wherever possible, avoid lifting from floor level or above shoulder height, especially with heavy loads. So, for example, if you're loading gritting bags onto a vehicle from a pallet. You can always adjust the storage areas to minimise the need to carry out such movements. So try to store heavier items midway up on shelving or racking to avoid having to lift from low down or high up. Consider how you can minimise the carrying distances. So if you're loading or unloading, can you get the item that you need to unload or load closer to where it needs to end up? Assess the weight to be carried and whether you can move the load safely or if you need any help. Maybe the load can be broken down into separate boxes. Maybe you need to ask someone for some help. Think about whether you need to use a lifting aid, such as a wheelbarrow or maybe a suck track to move the load properly. Think about storage as part of the delivery process. For example, heavy items could be delivered directly or closer to the storage area. Here are some good handling techniques for lifting, some simple things to do before and during the lift. First of all, remove any obstructions from the route. So make sure your path is clear and that there's nothing that you're going to catch your feet on or stumble or trip on. For a long lift, plan to rest the load midway. So for example, if you're lifting a waste bin onto a vehicle, lift it to the vehicle bed and then rest before moving it to its final position. And this will just give you the chance to change grip. Keep the load close to the waist. When you're lifting, the load should be kept as close to the body for as long as possible. Keep the heaviest side of the load next to the body, and this is going to prevent excess pressure being applied to your back.
Straight, slight bended, lift the load up here.
Good lifting technique. Think before lifting or handling. So plan the lift. Can handling aids be used? Where is the load going to be placed? Will help be needed with the load? Remove obstructions such as discarded wrapping materials, and for a long lift, consider resting the load midway or to change the grip. Adopt a stable position. The feet should be apart with one leg slightly forward to maintain balance alongside the load if it's on the ground. Be prepared to move your feet during the lift to maintain your stability, and avoid tight clothing or unsuitable footwear, which may make this difficult. Get a good hold. Where possible, the load should be hugged as close as possible to the body, and this may be better than gripping it tightly with your hands only. Start in a good posture. At the start of the lift, slight bending of the back, hips and knees is preferable to fully flexing the back, stooping, or fully flexing the hips and knees, squatting. Don't flex the back any further while lifting. This can happen if the legs begin to straighten before starting to raise the load. Keep the load close to the waist. Keep the load close to the body for as long as possible while lifting, and keep the heaviest side of the load next to the body. If a close approach to the load is not possible, try to slide it towards the body before attempting to lift it. Avoid twisting the back or leaning sideways, especially when your back is bent. Your shoulders should be kept level and facing in the same direction as your hips. Turning by moving your feet is always better than twisting and lifting at the same time. Keep your head up when handling. Look ahead, don't look down at the load once it's been held securely. Move smoothly. The load should not be jerked or snatched, as this can make it harder to keep control, and that will increase your risk of injury. Don't lift or handle more than can be easily and safely managed. There's a difference between what people can lift and what they can safely lift. If in doubt, ask advice or get help. Put the load down, then adjust it. If precise positioning of the load is necessary, put it down first and then slide it into the desired position. If you have to undertake a manual handling operation, think first of all, can you do it any other way without lifting it?